I make no bones about the fact I have in the past praised Umrex for their amazing replicas and the effort that they put into the research and development of their guns. I recently got my hands on the latest underlever Winchester rifle replica and I love it. The action is superb. The engineering that has gone into it is terrific. Yet they brought out the Glock 17 recently and I have to say I was more underwhelmed than overwhelmed. Then I was passed another Glock 17. Have they gone Glock mad? But this is the Glock 17 Generation 4. Does it make any difference? Hello and welcome to AAR On Air. Well, today in full market trader style, I'm not asking for Glock 22 or 19. I'm not even asking for a 17. To you, lady, it's only a Glock 17 Gen 4. Yes, we seem to be awash with Glocks, and I have to say I wasn't overly impressed with the last 17 I tried. So what exactly is a Gen 4? Well, let's take a look, shall we? Well, it certainly looks like a Glock. In its all-black square attire, there are masses of official Glock lettering all over, as on previous ones, and, as always, tastefully done, and not bold white lettering ruining the looks. The top slider is metal, with the rest being plastic. And it must be said this feels a little better quality and stronger than the previous generation I tested. Either that, or I've gotten weaker in my old age. One of the main flaws on the previous generation 17 was the tinny build quality of the top slider, which was evident when you were using the release mechanism. No such feel to this one. It feels solid and sure and has a wonderful, reassuring sound to it. Still on the top rail, the sights are open and fixed with no adjustment at all. They have the familiar white markings to make things clearer and easy to use in dim lighting conditions. Working to the bottom half then, as said, this is all plastic, from the underside rail through to the trigger guard and ambidextrous stippled grip, which I've found to be surprisingly comfortable. Either shooting left-handed or right-handed. Shooting left-handed though, you are aware of the mag release button under the base of your finger, but it's not a nuisance or a deal breaker really. The trigger, well, a couple of things about this. Firstly, the shape, comfort and quality is really very good. It is finished off with no rough edges and it doesn't have the sharpness to it that I've experienced on other Glocks I've used recently. Secondly, it is typical Glock with that safety forming part of the trigger. But Umrex have had the good sense to add a secondary safety to this one. But not the best of safeties for three reasons. One, it is very fiddly to use in its flush to body style and can really only be operated using fingernails. Two, markings are not clear at all. And there's no red or white dots and the lettering is very difficult to use as it blends in with the silver finish. Three, if you use the bottom rail for lasers or anything else, then the safety becomes completely obsolete. Thank goodness for the trigger safety then, but I'm not a huge fan of them. But at least it's a backup. The gun is field strippable by using the release button on the side. It's an odd one really because it goes forwards rather them back. Then we come on to the magazine. This is naturally released from the release button on the side of the grip and reveals a very realistic shaped and marked magazine. It's made of metal and has a great weight and feel to it. It isn't spring loaded in the release action and requires to be either held in the right position for it to drop out, or you're going to need to physically pull it out. It shows the 17 round markings as per the original. It has a pull down spring with lock open and an opening to load the BBs directly into, rather than feeding them in through the top. Loading the CO2 is through the bottom of the magazine and requires unscrewing of the retaining plate using the supplied hex key. Drop in your CO2, refit, and tighten. Away you go. It has to be said, the shape, weight and looks of this magazine cries out to have spares, as they really look the part and will speed up the process when shooting. They would also look pretty cool in the right sort of holster setup. What about power output then? After all, this is a blowback, and a pretty good effect it has too. Well, I shot this with the standard 5.37 steel BBs, and the maximum I saw on a cold December day was 320 feet per second, which equates to 1.22 foot-pounds or 1.66 joules. So not overly powerful, which is probably down to that blowback action. Because I tested the new Glock 22 at the same time on the chrono, and it produced a maximum of 414 feet per second from the non-blowback. So, will it fire dust devils was the next question. To make sure that we're not having ricochets going off everywhere. The answer is yes, it does. And using the 4.35 grain dust devils, I did actually see 320 maximum feet per second, which is 1 foot-pounds or 1.34 joules. This again is probably down to the slightly odd shape of the dust devils, which is allowing air past them in the barrel. So not the most powerful of pistols. But what about accuracy then? Here are the results at 8 meters using steel BBs. Have a look. Not the best I've seen, with a lot of them missing the bottom of the target completely. I could probably do better with a bit of practice and compensating for the sights, because of course they're non-adjustable. But this is no target competition gun, and I would have liked a little more time with this one and would have fitted a laser to see if the accuracy would have improved. After saying that, this is not about accuracy in my mind. This is about realism, ownership and feel. Now, it's easy to see the realism in the filming, but the other two are more personal. I must say, in the past, I did not get the whole Glock thing. But this one has changed my opinion. It's about the feel of this one. Forget the power and even the accuracy to some extent. It's that feel. The weight is beautifully balanced. The slider feels real, not tinny at all. Yes, the safety is a bit of a contentious issue, but the rest of the gun seems to make up for that oversight. You will need an external sighting aid, in my opinion, and you're going to want some spare mags as well. But I like this one, and it's really the first Glock I can say that about. I realised that most gun manufacturers have several factories that produce these things, and yes, most of them are in China. But this one feels like it's been produced under better supervision and with greater emphasis on meeting the research and development department's idea of what this should be like, certainly in its final finish. There are even 2 additional grip backs to help you find that perfect comfort zone. I found that I didn't really need these at all, that the handle in itself, or the grip rather in itself, was perfectly comfortable for me. After saying that, larger hands would definitely benefit from these included accessories. So, Glock 22, 19, 17 or 17 Gen 4? Well, it has to be the Generation 417, for now at least. When is the pellet version coming out? Thanks for watching.